It's time to make a malt liquor video. Malt liquor. I want to talk about cap and pocket. I want to talk about the making of a YouTube star. And already the comments I've got of like suggestions, how do you become a YouTube star, are dead on. They're absolutely correct. And I imagine like the nuts and bolts of that kind of thing are easily supplied by observation, contacting YouTube, watching the promotional videos. The nuts and bolts are provided. They're like, they'll give you the tools. You just need the vehicle. So by the vehicle, we need the person, our people. And gosh, it would be really nice if it was more than one person, and if it was more than one person of people in the same city, or people who didn't have to travel very far to be together, because I've seen over and over again the kind of a mass gravity effect of certain people catch a lot of interest. A good example would be like Philip DeFranco and his friends. An even better example actually would be Five Awesome Girls. Five Awesome Girls were sharing videos with each other to stay connected, and they all became popular to certain degrees because of each other, and then some of the girls, because of cult of personality or presentation, they had, and I mean, I'm not really guessing, and if you know who Five Awesome Girls are, you know as much as I do. By the way that you present yourself, it's not how great you are, it's how good you are at not limiting yourself and limiting your appeal to other people. There's certain things you can't do, certain things you can't say, and you have to limit yourself. It's like, you know, meeting a whole bunch of people for the first time all the time. You can't just walk right in and say, hey, what does everybody think about racism? It's bad, right? You know, like it has to stay superficial and positive. And I think, I mean, that doesn't sound too bad. That doesn't sound too limiting, right? Most of us could agree to that. Malt liquor. All right, so let's go back to our people. Let's say we have 5 people. I think that they should probably pick some YouTube role models, because that shows, like, I'm interested in the clip critics, for instance. I have the capability, I have the interest, I think they're really, really funny, they're really, really successful. A kind of spin-off, from my perspective, it doesn't have, there would be no harm in it, and you have all the potential in the world to actually, you know, be successful at it. I mean, it's already been done. If you just repackage it and resell it, you could do it again. Malt liquor. So I'm assuming though that you're really, really funny. All these people actually who are successful, I pick up on a lot of brains. Oh, well, right off the top of my head, I could actually think of a couple people I don't think are that clever, but I see they have specific appeal for a certain kind of reason. But most of them are really clever people. They're really smart. I could actually see a couple people that have made mistakes in the past that affected their YouTube career, and they tried to change who they were. They've already sold a product, and then they're trying to do the bait and switch. People didn't like that. And you also have to think, no matter what you are, you might be things that we admire in a business sense, we admire in a work sense, but what we most often admire, obviously, are these certain kinds of traits. You know, the good guy, the good girl traits. So whether or not you are a good guy or a good girl, that is your best selling points. And then the work that goes on behind the scene, you get to have more of an example of you know, the rest of the traits that aren't as seen as admirable but are necessary. I could go on, but you either get it or you don't. Though, right off the top of my head, the people who I think that are smart but not very smart. For instance, I love Jenna Marbles. She's obviously smart, clever, creative, hardworking. She's also a spin-out, and that's part of her appeal. You kind of it's like you know, it's like not necessarily a car accident, but a car that does a lot of swerving, and it's gonna hit some things, and there's gonna be glass and scrapes and stuff like that. But in between that, there's gonna be some awesome driving. So yeah, I love Jenna Marbles, but God bless her, she's a bit of a spin-out. Also, two people who I really admire, I guess you can't underestimate how much hard work this would be. Two people I admire are Wheezy Waiter and who else? Like Pompaloose Music, for instance. And they're both great examples of you have to just work constantly at this if you wanted to be a YouTube star. You have to work constantly. It is your everyday thing, maybe even your all-day thing. One of my favorites, the Japan Channel, says it's a lot of that is his life. He wakes up thinking about it, working on it, goes to sleep thinking about it, working on it, and it's how he makes most of his living. I really admire him, and the best thing about him is he does it promoting such a wide spectrum of things, Japan, that he gets a lot of freedom. You know, he could go do video games or food or tourist stuff. Now that's right on. I mean, I would be interested in being that guy. I'll just travel the world doing YouTube stuff, but that's the thing, like. Anyway, Wheezy Waiter, Pompaloose Music. Especially Pompaloose. Being a YouTube star can't be the end of your trail. You have to be shooting past that, or you're not going to get any kind of recognition from trend spotters. Have you heard that word, trend spotters? Because you need to be seen as useful, not just to YouTube, but you need to be seen as useful outside of it, like the next stage. Pompaloose Music, selling albums, doing tours, things like that. Rhett and Link. Rhett and Link doing commercials, had a TV show pitch that looked like they got 4 or 5 episodes in the can that were amazing. I can think of a bunch of other YouTubers that have had kind of talking heads jobs for different programs, and like, you know, to appear at this festival and talk about this, to be somebody's representative, to talk about like cars, for instance. I know a couple of YouTubers that then got into car advertising. Malt liquor. So I guess you'd pick a category that you were interested in, that fascinated you, and then you just have to stick with it for a really, really long time. And really, I think that who is going to be successful is not necessarily the things that have already been listed, as far as like what you need to do. Who's going to be successful, actually, really, I think is going to have a lot to do with how much time they put in. You know, it's the whole perspiration thing. You know, a little inspiration, a whole lot of perspiration. Because there's some people that are successful, seemingly to me, just because they never give up. Unstoppable people. You know, dare I say it, like someone like Onision. He's smart, clever, he's got appeal to a wide range of people, but the vast majority of his success is the fact that he just does not stop. And also he markets himself. He is constantly marketing himself. I watched him install a fence in his backyard and maintain his character. You know, his kind of like, you know, his nut job character. So really, I think everything else is nuts and bolts. The only thing that is important is finding somebody that could literally live, breathe, eat YouTube. And then they'd have to confine themselves to their niche. They'd have to always be presenting what they're selling and never be anything different. Which actually, of all the YouTubers that I think are successful, and my hat's off to them, got successful under a different system that doesn't exist right now. But Philip DeFranco, he connected himself to reporting the news and giving his opinions on the news, or you know, his opinions. He's very careful in presenting himself as, well, just as I said, you want to be the things people admire, the admirable traits. And the traits that you don't admire, you have to have those, but you can't showcase them. All right, that's got to be long enough. Who are these people? Who are they going to be? Does anyone have the cojones to do it?